Picture this Hollywood's biggest megastar, a global icon with a smile that could light up a stadium, squaring off against morning TV's fiercest interrogator, a journalist who thrives on tearing down walls. What happens when these two titans collide? Pure, unfiltered chaos, a verbal slugfest that explodes into one of the most unforgettable moments ever broadcast live. You're not going to want to miss a second of this, so grab a seat, because this story is a roller coaster of drama, ego, and raw human conflict. Good Morning America studio hummed with pre-show energy. Camera operators fiddled with their gear, adjusting lenses for that perfect shot. Makeup artists darted around applying last-minute touch-ups. Producers hustled, clutching clipboards, shouting into headsets. But today something felt off. The air buzzed with nervous charge, like the world was holding its breath before a thunderstorm. Everyone sensed it, from the interns fetching coffee to the executives watching from their glass offices. George Stephanopoulos sat at the sleek anchored desk, flipping through notes with a razor-sharp focus. His team knew that look was the face of a hunter, eyes locked on his target, ready to strike. George didn't just host, he dominated. And today he was out for more than a fluffy celebrity chat. He wanted blood. Brad Pitt arrived right on time, because of course he did. The Oscar-winning heartthrob looked every inch the movie star in a tailored navy suit, his famous grin charming the green room staff as he cracked jokes and shook hands. But in the control booth, George watched the monitor with a glint in his eye, a predator sizing up his prey. This wasn't going to be another soft interview. George leaned toward his producer, Sarah, as she adjusted his mic. "I want the real stuff today, no fluff about his latest blockbuster. People deserve truth." Sarah nodded, but her stomach churned. She had seen George like this before. His version of truth often meant pushing guests to the edge. The network execs wanted professional. "George, this is morning TV, not a courtroom." George smirked. "Professional doesn't mean boring." Brad thinks he can waltz and charm everyone and skate by. Not today. In the green room, Brad lounged with his publicist, Jennifer, going over talking points. It was a usual drill: plug the new film, share funny set stories, sidestep personal questions with that polished Hollywood ease. They had this down to a science. George can be tough. Jennifer warned, brushing powder on Brad's face. But it's morning TV. How bad can it get? Brad chuckled, his confidence unshakable. "I faced worse. Jen, remember that UK reporter who tried to corner me about my breakup? Total mess. But I handled it. This'll be easy." The stage manager appeared. "Mr. Pitt, we're ready." Brad stood, smoothed his jacket, and strode onto the set. The audience erupted. Cheers, applause, whistles. He waved, flashing that $1,000,000 smile, and settled into the chair across from George. The host's greeting was warm enough, all smiles and handshakes. But Jennifer, watching from the wings, caught something in George's eyes, a flicker of something sharp, almost dangerous. It made her uneasy. "We're back in 30. The stage manager called. George leaned close, his voice low so only Brad could hear. "Hope you're ready for a real talk today, not just promo fluff." Brad's smile stayed firm, but Jennifer saw his jaw tighten. Him always ready. "George, real talks. What makes great TV?" Right. The camera light flash red. "Showtime." "Welcome back to Good Morning America." I'm here with Academy Award winner Brad Pitt, whose new film is crushing box offices worldwide. George's TV smile was perfect, but his crew knew the shark was circling. "Brad, great to have you." "Thanks, George. Always a pleasure." Brad leaned back, looking relaxed, or so it seemed. George didn't waste a second. "Let's start big. Your film's about redemption, second chances, with your own very public struggles. How much of you is in this role?" The question hit like a freight train. This was supposed to be about the movie, not Brad's personal life. His media training kicked in fast. Every actor draws from life. The character's journey is universal. Audiences connect no matter what they know about me. George wasn't buying it. Surely the parallels are intentional. A man rebuilding his image, reconnecting with family, proving he's changed. That's not just acting. That's you. Right. The studio when dead silent. Crew members froze, sensing the shift. This wasn't a typical morning chat anymore. Brad's jaw tightened. "Just a fraction. You're reading too much into it. George is a story about fictional people. I'm just bringing it to life." "Come on, Brad." George tone sharpened, his old political reporter instincts flaring. "Your fans see the connections." Question is, do you have the courage to admit it? Courage. Brad's voice gained an edge. "I got courage. What I don't have is an obligation to make every interview a therapy session for your viewers." The tension was thick now. Cameras hummed, operators exchanging nervous glances. In the control room, the director signaled frantically for George to pull back, but he was in his element, thriving on the conflict. "Nobody wants therapy," George pressed. "But promoting a film about accountability, doesn't it beg asking if you've learned from your own mistakes?" Brad's cool facade cracked slightly. "What mistakes exactly?" George smiled, turned cold. "Let's start with your marriage, the messy custody fight, those heavy allegations. Did you handle it with the maturity your character shows?" The air felt poisonous. Jennifer made frantic, cut-it gestures from the sidelines, but George didn't glance her way. His focus was all on Brad. Brad's eyes flashed something dangerous, the movie star charm. Fading, you need to pivot back to the film George, that's why I'm here. But George smelled vulnerability and pounced the films about facing past failures. So again did you manage your divorce and kids with that on-screen wisdom my personal life. Is it your morning TV fodder? Brad's voice held steady, but the anger simmered beneath. You've built your career on your image, George. Countered, you can't claim privacy. When it gets tough, privacy, Brad's laugh was sharp. This isn't about comfort. It's about respect, which you've clearly forgotten. The control room was pandemonium. The directors shouted into headsets. But George had ditched his earpiece. Execs were on phones. This live broadcast was spiraling. Respect, your voice rose as dodging fair questions. Respectful, what about the impact your choices had on your children? That was a line. The one Brad dreaded. George mention of his kids changed everything. Brad's hands gripped his chair. You just crossed the line. You can't uncross. My kids are off limits, full stop. Your kids weren't off limits when your decisions affected them, George jabbed, hitting the weak spot. Custody, reports, therapy, court files, it's all public. Don't tell me the audience can't know the man behind the star. Brad stood slowly, his mic pack hitting the floor. With a loud crack, the audience gasped. This was morning TV gone wild. Sit down, Brad. George's command was sharp. We're mid-interview. No, we're not. Brad's voice carried across the studio. This isn't an interview. It's an ambush. You brought me here to talk movies, and instead you're playing tabloid shrink live. George stayed seated cool as ice. I brought you for honesty, something your publicist didn't prep you for. Honesty. Brad's laugh was bitter. This is sensationalism dressed as journalism. You're chasing headlines. By tearing me down, the audience was silent, now glued to the drama. Camera operators kept rolling, unsure if they should stop. The stage manager hovered out his depth. I've earned my stripes. Brad. George's tone was icy. Interviewed presidents, covered wars. I don't need to tear down celebrities.